Hey. Oh shit. Hold on.
Hello, planet Earth. Thank you for watching Planet this, and we're gonna be we're the Quarantine Theater Company, and we're reading You've Got Mail. I will be playing Joe Fox. We have Jennifer playing
FOX.
FOX. We have Jennifer playing Kathleen Kelly, Shop Girl. We've got George on scene description. I'm not gonna do this by memory. I'm not gonna scroll up. All right, George is playing Dave Chappelle. Logan is playing Steve Zahn. Charlie will be playing Greg Kinnear. Ann will be playing Parker Posey. We got Kenzie playing a bunch of people. That girl from 2 Weeks Notice who gets proposed to while they're sitting down.
Miss Congeniality.
Oh wow, she's in a bunch of.
Yeah.
Okay. Travis as Birdie, who fell for the guy who ran Spain. I think that's it.
Yep.
And as always, we have William Shakespeare, who wrote this with everyone. All right, George.
All right. You've Got Mail by Nora Ephron and Delia Ephron, based on The Shop Around the Corner by Nikolaus Laszlo. Fade in on cyberspace. We have a sense of cyberspace travel as we hurtle through a sky that's just beginning to get light. There are a few stars, but they fade and the sky turns a milky blue and a big computer sun starts to rise. We continue hurtling through space and see that we're heading over a computer version of the New York City skyline. We move over Central Park. It's fall and the leaves are glorious reds and yellows. We reach the west side of Manhattan and move swiftly down Broadway with its stores and gyms and movie theaters and turn onto a street in the West 80s. Hold in front of a New York brownstone. At the bottom of the screen, a small rectangle appears and the words "Adding Art." As the rectangle starts to fill with color, we see a percentage increase from 0% to 100%. When it hits 100%, the image pops and we are in real life. Exterior New York brownstone day. Early morning in New York. A couple of runners pass on their way to Riverside Drive Park. We go through the brownstone window into interior Kathleen Kelly's apartment day. Kathleen Kelly is asleep. Kathleen 30 is as pretty and fresh as a spring day. Her bedroom cozy has a queen-sized bed and a desk with a computer on it. Bookshelves line every inch of wall space and overflow with books, framed on the children's classic Madeline. As Kathleen wakes up, her boyfriend Frank Navosky walks into the room. He wears blue jeans and a work shirt. He's carrying the New York Times.
Good morning.
Oh, crap.
Well, Frank.
Listen to this. The entire workforce of the state of Virginia had to have solitaire removed from their computers.
Kathleen gets out of bed and goes to brush her teeth in the bathroom, and we stay with Frank.
Because they hadn't been doing any work in 6 weeks.
Kathleen comes out of the bathroom in her robe.
Aren't you late?
You know what this is? You know what we're seeing here? We're seeing the end of Western civilization as we know it.
This is so sad.
She tosses him his jacket.
You think that machine is your friend, but it's not. I'm late.
Interior living room, Kathleen's apartment, continuous. As Frank walks to the apartment door, we see a charming room with a couch, fireplace, books, and a dining table with a typewriter with a cover on it.
I'll see you tonight.
Sushi.
Great. Bye.
Frank goes out the door. It closes. Kathleen tiptoes into the hall and looks through the fisheye peephole, watching as he goes down the stairs, disappearing from sight. She walks into her bedroom and looks out the front window as Frank walks out onto the street and turns toward Broadway. He's gone. Good. She sits down at her computer, an expression of anticipation and guilty pleasure as she clicks the mouse. Interior computer screen. As we see the logo for America Online come up and Kathleen's code name, Shop Girl. She logs on, and the computer makes all its little modem noises as the computer dials the access number and connects, and we hear the machine.
Beep, 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 beep. Welcome.
And we see Kathleen listening for the words she's waiting to hear.
You've got mail.
Got mail.
And Kathleen smiles as her mail page comes up. Interior computer screen. We see a list of letters. Big cash op. You can make money, money, money in your spare time. Oil market. You can turn $20 into $20,000. This really works. You can do it. Maximize your selling ability now. NY152 Brinkley. Kathleen hits the delete key and the first three letters, all of them junk mail, are deleted and drop off screen. Then she selects the read mail key for NY152 Brinkley, and the letter comes up. To Shop Girl from NY152. Regarding Brinkley, Kathleen starts to read the letter aloud.
Brinkley is my dog. He loves the streets of New York as much as I do.
And now we hear Kathleen's voice replaced by the voice of NY152, a man named Joe Fox.
Although he likes to eat bits of pizza and bagel off the sidewalk, and I prefer to buy them, Brinkley is a great catcher and was offered a tryout on the Mets farm team.
Interior Joe's apartment day. A dog is sitting on a large green pillow on the floor. This is Brinkley. The pillow has Brinkley embroidered on it. Brinkley's master, Joe Fox, a great-looking guy, full of charm and irony, comes into the kitchen and pours himself some orange juice. He's half-dressed.
But he chose to stay with me so that he could spend 18 hours a day sleeping on a large green pillow the size of an inner tube. Don't you love New York in the fall? It makes me want to buy school supplies. I would send you a bouquet of newly sharpened pencils if I knew your name and address. On the other hand, this is not knowing has its charms. This not knowing has its charms.
Darling!
Mm-hmm.
Joe's girlfriend, Patricia Eden, in Armani head to toe, comes into the kitchen and turns on the $2,000 espresso machine, which starts grinding beans. She's carrying the morning papers.
Ugh, I'm late. Random House Fire, Dick Atkins, good riddance. Ugh, Murray Chilton died, which makes one less person I'm not speaking to. Vince got a great review. He'll be insufferable. Ugh, tonight, pen dinner.
Am I going?
You promised.
Can't I just give them money? That's the cause. That's the cause. Free Albanian writers. I'm for that.
Patricia drains another cup of espresso, looks at him.
All right, I'll go. You're late.
I know.
Tears out of the kitchen and the door slams behind her. Hold on, Joe, listening as he hears the elevator door open and close on the landing outside. Interior Joe's den, day, as he comes in and sits down at his laptop computer and logs on.
Welcome.
Beep, boop, beep, boop. Oh.
Beep boop beep boop. Oh, sorry, my modem. Let me fix the modem. Beep boop doop beep.
Beep, boop, boop. Welcome.
Welcome.
You
got mail.
And as he starts to read his letter, we hear,
I like to start my notes to you as if we're already in the middle of a conversation. I pretend that we're the oldest and dearest of friends, as opposed to what we actually are, people who don't know each other's names and met in a chat room where we both claimed we've never been before.
Interior Joe's elevator day. As Joe, dressed for work, takes the elevator down with his elevator man, Charlie. There's a certain amount of good morning, etc., as the elevator goes down and the voiceover continues.
What will he say today, I wonder? I turn on my computer. I wait impatiently as it boots up.
Exterior Riverside Drive day as Joe comes out of his building.
I go online and my breath catches in my chest until I hear these three little words, "You've got mail."
And the camera now pans
dreams.
from...
Yep. Sorry. Just wanted to throw
the camera pans from 152 Riverside, uptown, to exterior New York brownstone morning.
I hear nothing, not even a sound on the streets of New York, just the beat of my own heart. I have mail from you.
Exterior Broadway morning. As Kathleen comes onto Broadway at the corner of 83rd Street and starts downtown. Through a long lens, we can see Joe walking into blocks behind her. As Kathleen and Joe make their way down Broadway, we see the west side of Manhattan in the morning. Mothers and fathers taking their kids to school, people on their way to work, dogs being walked, school buses picking up kids, bakery trucks dropping off brown bags of bread in the door frames of unopened restaurants. Kathleen stops at a newsstand, says good morning to the newsstand dealer, and picks up a New York Times. Metal grates are pulled up to open flower shops, nail salons, the pharmacy, fish store, the Cuban Chinese restaurant, Zabar's. Joe stops at the same newsstand. He buys all the papers: the Times, Wall Street Journal, Post, and Daily News. Interior Starbucks day, as Kathleen picks up her coffee and walks out. Exterior Columbus Avenue. As Kathleen walks down Columbus, we see Joe a block behind her. She stops to buy flowers, and Joe passes her, crosses to the east side of Columbus Avenue. Exterior Columbus Avenue. A building under construction, with plywood boards covering the front and wrapping around the corner. Joe goes to a side entrance and enters. Exterior Columbus and 73rd Street, day continuous. As Kathleen comes around the corner onto 73rd and stops in front of her store, a children's bookstore called The Shop Around the Corner. It's an irresistibly inviting store. There are twinkle lights in the windows, framing large stuffed animals reading children's books. Madeline, Goodnight Moon, Where the Wild Things Are. A teddy bear in a pinafore is reading The Stupid Step Out. Waiting for Kathleen in front is one of her employees, Christina.
Hello, Christina. It's a beautiful day. Isn't this just the most beautiful day?
Christina looks up at the sky as if seeing it for the first time.
I guess. Yeah, sure.
Kathleen unlocks the shop and cranks the grate, which rises, making a horrible noise. Two cabs almost collide in front of the store with a screech, and one cab driver starts yelling obscenities at the other. Kathleen unlocks the door to the store.
Don't you just love New York in the fall?
Christina looks at her, puzzled. Interior Shop Around the Corner continuous. Kathleen turns the closed sign on the door over to read open, and she activates the computer system. She looks around, and we see a small but charming children's bookstore with wooden shelves, a tiny area where kids can sit and read, some charming posters, and a glass case full of first editions of the Oz books and Alice in Wonderland, etc. There's a playful display of witches, lit with twinkle lights, covered with orange pumpkin globes, and a sign reading the 10 best witch list, and a collection of witch books: The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, The Witches, The Wizard of Oz. On the counter is a glass jar full of sugar-free lollipops. Kathleen hangs up her coat in the back of the store and suddenly stops to daydream. A smile creeps onto her face. Christina looks at her.
What's going on with you?
Nothing.
You're in love.
In love? No. Yes. Of course I am. I'm in love with Frank. I'm practically living with Frank. Do you think you could get our Christmas mailers out this week?
By Monday, I promise. I have a paper due Friday. Now, what's going on? I'm just gonna stand here till you tell me.
A beat.
Is it infidelity if you're involved with someone on email?
Have you had sex?
Of course not. I don't even know him.
I mean cyber sex.
No,
Well, don't do it. The minute you do, they lose all respect for you.
it's not like that. We just email. It's really nothing. On top of which, I'm definitely thinking of stopping because it's getting,
Out of hand.
well, confusing. But not really, because it's nothing.
Where did you meet him?
I can't even remember. Okay, the day I turned 30, I wandered into an over 30 room for a joke, sort of like he was there and we started chatting.
About what?
Books, music, how much we both love New York, harmless, meaningless. Bouquets of sharpened pencils.
Excuse me?
Forget it. We don't talk about anything personal. We made a rule about that. I don't know his name, what he does, or exactly where he lives. So it would be really easy to stop seeing him because I'm not.
God, he could be the next person to walk into the store. He could be George.
George Pappas, in his 20s, one of Kathleen's salespeople, is a cute guy who has no idea that he's supposed to look in the mirror when he gets dressed.
Morning.
Are you online?
As far as I'm concerned, the internet is just another way to be rejected by a woman.
Birdie walks in. She's in her 70s, has white hair, and is tiny, like a little sparrow. She's the store's oldest employee, having worked there for over 40 years, and serves as an accountant as well as salesperson.
Good morning, Birdie.
What are you all talking about?
Cyber sex.
I tried to have cyber sex once, but I kept getting a busy signal.
I know, I know. One Saturday night, I was really depressed about not having a date, so I thought, no problemo, I'll go online and I won't be lonely. But I couldn't get on. There were hundreds of thousands of people who didn't have dates trying to get on. You have to wonder which is harder, getting a date or getting online when you don't have a date.
Getting a date is harder.
We hear the bell jingle as two West Side mothers come in with two kids in strollers.
Jessica and Maya, how are you today?
We hear the sound of the garbage truck. Kathleen goes out the front door to exterior shop around the corner day. As the commercial garbage truck pulls up and two garbage men start to load her trash.
Hey, you forgot to pick up the garbage last week and I got a ticket, and you're late today. I could have gotten another.
We were here. There was no garbage.
Yeah.
Of course there was.
What do you think? I don't want to pick up garbage? You think I go up and down the street picking up garbage? I'm not going to pick up yours? What's the matter with you?
Yeah.
Kathleen is standing there tongue-tied.
You don't even bundle it right. You're supposed to bundle it and leave it near the curb, and you leave it near the store, and you use your cheap garbage bags. They smear all over the place, and then I got to pick it up with my shovel.
Interior shop around the corner continuous. As Christina, who's helping one of the customers, looks out the window as the harangue continues. Exterior shop around the corner continuous.
Now you're just busting my chops. You're just another garbage pickup to us, okay?
Yeah.
As Kathleen continues to stand there, speechless. Interior shop around the corner. As Kathleen comes back into the store, Christina is ringing up a sale.
That guy went ballistic on me.
I hope you told him off.
Not exactly.
Another customer enters the store. The bell jingles. Exterior construction site on Columbus. A little truck carrying a knife sharpener, its bells ringing, passes the building under construction. Interior construction site day. Workers, electricians, masons, carpenters, etc. in the process of building what looks like a large store. Wires hanging everywhere. The electrical contractor called. His truck hit a deer last night. He won't be in till tomorrow. The shelves are late because the shipment of pine has beetles, and there's some question about whether we're installing the stairs in the right spot.
That sounds great.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, 4.
He's the electrician here.
I just told you he hit a deer.
I hear nothing. Not a sound on the streets, just the beat of my own heart. I think that's the way it goes, something like that.
Did you and Patricia get engaged?
Engaged? Are you crazy?
I thought you liked Patricia.
I love Patricia. Patricia's amazing. Patricia makes coffee nervous. Are we still on schedule?
We opened 2 weeks before Thanksgiving.
I guess we should announce ourselves soon, tell people we're coming.
This is the Upper West Side of Manhattan. The minute they hear, they'll be lining up.
To pick it.
Big bad
Chain store.
destroys.
Everything we hold dear. We'll seduce them with our square footage and our deep armchairs and our amazingly swift checkout lines and our discounts and our
Cappuccino.
cappuccino. They hate us in the beginning, but we get them in the end. Meanwhile, we should just put up a sign. Coming soon. Fox Bookstore and the end of Western civilization as we know it.
Interior Fox Books World Headquarters Day. Joe is in the office with his father, Nelson Fox, and his grandfather, Schuyler Fox. The office has been recently redecorated. Everything is new and a little overdone. On the wall, we see the Fox Books logo.
Kevin and I are both a little concerned about the neighborhood response. What is this fabric? Does it have a name?
Money. Its name is Money.
Jillian selected it.
Of course.
Your father's getting married again.
Oh, great! Congratulations, Dad. Why?
Who knows? Why does anyone get married?
Love?
I guess that's one reason.
I think you're a damn fool.
Dad, Matthew is 4. It would be nice for him if his parents were married.
Annabelle is 8, and I'm not married to her mother. I can't even remember her mother's name.
I have a very sad announcement to make. City Books on 23rd Street is going under.
Nelson, Schuyler, and Joe high-five each other.
Ah! Another independent bookstore bites the dust.
On to the next.
And I'm buying their entire stock, architecture, New York history, for the new store.
How much are you paying?
Whatever it costs. It won't be as much as this exquisite mohair episode. We're also going to have a section on West Side Riders.
As a sop to the neighborhood.
Perfect. It'll keep those West Side liberal, nuts, pseudo-intellectual, bleeding hearts.
Readers. They're called readers.
Don't
Dad.
romanticize them. It'll keep them from jumping down your throat.
What's the competition?
One mystery store, a Sleuth on 86th and Amsterdam, and a children's bookstore, the shop around the corner, have been there forever.
Oh, Cecilia's store.
Who's that?
Cecilia Kelly. A lovely woman. I think we might have had a date once. Or maybe we just exchanged letters.
You wrote her letters?
Mail. It was called mail.
Stamps. Envelopes.
Wait, I've heard of it. It was a means of communication before I was born.
Exactly.
Cecilia had beautiful penmanship. She was too young for me, but she was enchanting. Her daughter owns it now.
Too bad for her.
As a decorator walks into the office carrying a pile of upholstered pillows, and Joe turns to look at them.
Beep-doo-doo-beep. Welcome to You've Got Mail.
My father is getting married again. For 5 years, he's been living with a woman who studied decorating at Caesar's Palace.
You've got mail? Interior subway day. Kathleen looks up from her book as a butterfly flies through the subway car.
Once I read a story about a butterfly in the subway, and today I saw one. I couldn't believe it. It got on at 42nd Street,
The train comes to a stop. The butterfly flies out.
and it got off at 59th, where I assume it was going to Bloomingdale's to buy a hat. That will turn out to be a mistake, as almost all hats are.
Exterior H&H Bagels night. A flour truck is unloading flour into a hole in the ground.
Did you know that every night a truck pulls up at H&H Bagels and pumps out a ton of flour into the ground? The air is absolutely amazing.
As Joe comes around the corner and sees the dust filling the air, it's amazing.
I guess I've read Pride and Prejudice about 100 times.
Interior Joe's kitchen day. As Joe reads a copy of Pride and Prejudice, he can't stand it.
And every time I read it, I worry that Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy are not going to get together. But the truth is, whenever I think about my favorite book, I always think about the books I read as a child.
Interior Shop Around the Corner day. As Kathleen takes a copy of Homer Price off the shelf.
Did you ever read Homer Price? My all-time favorite children's book.
She opens it to the illustration of the donut machine that won't stop making donuts.
There's a donut machine in it that won't stop making donuts. They just keep coming down the chute just as regular as a clock can tick.
Exterior Krispy Kreme store day.
Have you ever been to Krispy Kreme?
Joe, eating a donut, looks through the window at the huge donut machine as the donuts roll down the chute just as regular as a clock can tick.
There's a donut machine right in the window that makes 110 dozen donuts in an hour.
Exterior Starbucks day. As Joe leaves with his morning coffee. Exterior Columbus Avenue, New York, morning. Joe goes to his painter at work. Coming soon is as far as he's gotten. Exterior Starbucks day. She enters Starbucks. Interior Starbucks day. As Kathleen buys her morning coffee and listens to everyone ordering. We can hear the sounds of Starbucks. Short decaf, cap, tall mocha latte, grande, low-fat, regular, etc. Exterior Columbus Avenue, a half hour later. The painter is further along on the sign. It now reads, coming soon, a Fox Book Sue. Kathleen walks past the construction site. She doesn't really pay attention to the sign painter. We see two police cars barreling up 75th Street, followed by a television news truck. Exterior Broadway, continuous. The police cars and TV truck barrel uptown. Exterior 101st Street, continuous. They turn left onto West 101st and stop in front of an apartment building on the block. There are more police cars and a horde of television reporters with microphones, etc. George emerges from the building as a newscaster broadcasts.
The body of a woman was found this morning on the roof of a New York building.
As George comes out of his building into a horde of reporters with microphones, cameras, etc., and listens to the reporter, who, seeing George, sticks the microphone into his face.
Here is a resident of the building. Your name, please.
George Pappas?
Did you see or hear anything unusual last night?
No, I didn't go out.
At that moment, George sees a young woman. This is Meredith Carter. He's struck dumb.
The victim was red-haired, about 35, wearing a jogging suit. Did you encounter anyone by that description in the building, sir?
George hasn't heard a word.
Have there been any wild parties lately?
George doesn't answer.
Could it perhaps be one of your neighbors?
George continues to stare at the beautiful woman. As he does, she notices him. She stares back. The reporter, ignored, finally turns away.
As you can see, no one here knows anything.
He continues to stand there, dumbstruck for a moment. Meredith Carter starts to walk away. Exterior New York street day. As George walks along Broadway past the sign, which now says "Coming Soon," a Fox Books Superstore, he sees it. Interior, shop around the corner. Kathleen and several customers in the store. George walks in and goes to the back to hang up his coat. Christina is unpacking boxes. Bertie is at the desk. George looks at Christina meaningfully.
What?
The coupe de foudre. I had one. I never believed in them. I just had one.
Is that the thing where you get cold suddenly? Bang!
No, that's the coup de fou.
I had that.
No, the coup de foudre is where you get love suddenly. Bang! A thunderbolt.
I had that too. Only I had it in Seville where it was called El Escruto de Amor.
I don't know her name or anything about her. I may never see her again.
And if you ever do meet her, you'll find out all the horrible details, and that'll be that. She'll turn out to have pictures of the Virgin Mary all over the walls.
Oh, I won't care.
Kathleen sticks her head into the back.
Can someone help me out here?
George had coup de foudre.
And Christina's making fun of me.
Don't let her. I believe in this. I completely believe in this. It happened to Madame Bovary at least 6 times.
And she was wrong every time.
Yes. Who is she?
I don't know. She was standing outside my building with the police and the reporters.
What police and what reporters?
Well, someone died.
Who?
Oh, I have no idea about that either. They found her on the roof.
A dead body. That's so sad. But you fell in love. That's so great.
Oh, one other thing.
Exterior, Columbus Avenue day. The sign is now complete and it says "Coming Soon," just around the corner, a Fox Books Superstore. Kathleen and George and Christina stand there looking at it.
Quill nightmare.
It has nothing to do with it. It's big, it's impersonal, it's overstocked, and it's full of ignorant salespeople.
But they discount.
But they don't provide any service. We do.
George and Christina nod. Interior, Barney Greengrass, lunchtime. Kathleen is having lunch with Bertie.
So really, it's a good development. Like, you know how in the flower district, there's so many flower shops that in a row that you can find whatever you want. Well, this is going to be like the book district. If they don't have it, we do.
And vice versa.
Interior, Kathleen's apartment, dusk. Kathleen in the kitchen unloading groceries. Frank is standing there plugging in an Olympia Report Deluxe electric typewriter.
When you're finished with Fox Books, the shop around the corner is going to be responsible for reversing the entire course of the Industrial Revolution.
That is so sweet, Frank. Thank you. That is so sweet.
Hey.
He holds his arms out. They hug.
Although,
What?
what is that doing there?
Listen to it. Just listen.
He strikes a key, practically swoons.
The Olympia Report Deluxe Electric Report. The Olympia Report Deluxe Electric Report, as in gunshot.
It sounds familiar.
Now listen to this.
He puts his ear to the typewriter. Kathleen listens too.
Oh, snap. That whirring.
The gentle and soothing lullaby of a piece of machinery so perfect.
I know where I've heard it before. I know.
She whips a cover off the other typewriter on the table. It's the same machine exactly.
I need a backup.
Don't you have another one at your fucking apartment?
I might. So what?
You're turning my apartment into a typewriter museum.
I'll stop. I'll try. I probably can't. I see one of my knees go weak. Anyway, what were you starting today?
When?
Before.
Nothing.
Come on.
Well, I don't know. I was just wondering about my work and all. I mean, what is it I do exactly? All I do is run a bookstore and, like,
All you really
honestly,
do is this incredible, noble thing.
Kathleen
okay.
nods.
Well, I don't know, but I don't know if
Kathleen,
but I just,
you're a lone read.
Kathleen looks puzzled. He sticks a piece of paper in the typewriter, starts typing.
You are a lone reed, waving in the breeze, standing strong and tall in the corrupt sands of commerce.
He whips the piece of paper out of the typewriter and hands it to her.
I am a lone read. I am a lone read.
Clutching her piece of paper, she wanders into the bathroom. Interior bedroom desk. We hear the sound of a typewriter begin to clack away in the next room. Kathleen walks past her computer, looks at it. Then she goes over to the window, looks out at her street at dusk. Exterior Kathleen's street dusk. A group of schoolgirls in uniform in 2 straight lines walk past with a tall woman. Interior Kathleen's bedroom dusk. She goes over to the bookshelf and pulls out a copy of Madeline by Ludwig Bomans and opens it to the illustration of the 12 little girls in 2 straight lines marching through the streets of Paris. She looks at it, then looks up, lost in thought. We hear the sound of the computer keys.
Sometimes I wonder about my life. I lead a small life. Well, not small, but circumscribed. Definitely read that as a different word. And sometimes I wonder, do I do it because I like it or because I haven't been brave? So much of what I see reminds me of something I read in a book. When shouldn't it be the other way around?
We hold on her as she thinks about this. In the other room, we hear Frank typing. Kathleen goes to the computer, turns it on. Exterior Kathleen's building, night. As we see Kathleen through her curtains, a small figure barely lit by the computer.
I don't really want an answer. I just want to send this cosmic question out into the void. So good night, dear void.
Interior, Drip, day. Drip is a cafe on Amsterdam Avenue with 50s-style couches and chairs in cozy seating arrangements. Kathleen is standing at the front counter with Christina getting drinks.
Cafe Lalo.
I went to the Fox Books website and you can buy anything. They ship it to you in a day. Maybe we should get a website.
My mother would never have wanted us to have a website. Every book you sell is a gift from your heart. And she always said that.
As they walk toward the back of the cafe, Kathleen notices a stack of loose-leaf binders on the table.
What if they put us out of business?
It's out of the question. We're a fixture in the neighborhood. We're practically a landmark. Men for women, women for men, women for women. Who is this?
You fill out one of these forms and they file it in the book, and if someone wants to meet you, they arrange it.
What a stupid way to meet someone.
Compared to the internet?
That's a whole mood. My little thing on the internet is just a lark.
So it's still going on?
I do not plan to meet him. Well, I mean, why do I get the feeling that you are in here somewhere?
Christina flips the book open to her application.
I came in here one night and I drank too much coffee and I filled one out. Well, how am I supposed to meet someone?
You're a runner. someday you're gonna make like eye contact with another runner and then just
No one ever looks at me. They don't. On top of which, who are they? They could like the symphony. I could never fall in love with someone who likes to go to the symphony.
I know. Well, what are you supposed to do there?
I don't know.
Sit. You're supposed to sit.
I could never fall in love with someone who smokes cigars either.
I'll tell you what I hate. Big fat legs like stumps.
Yeah, I hate that too.
The worst. The worst. I could never, like, under any circumstances, love anybody who had a sailboat.
Neither could I.
If I had to get up on a Saturday morning knowing that I was going to go down to the pier and unravel all those ropes and put on all that sunblock, I mean,
All that talk about the wind.
and then you have to go out to the boat and you sail and you sail and you sail until you are bored wireless. And then, only then, do they say, let's turn around. And only then do you realize the trip is only half over. Only it's not, because the wind has changed.
It hasn't changed, it's died.
I know. Well, shoot, I skipped a line. So so then there's more than just the talk about the wind, and I don't like it. So then, while you just float up and you are down trying not to get nauseous, and when you are finally trying to get back, you have to try and clean up the boat.
Why don't people have boatmates?
I know there are all these people who wouldn't be caught dead polishing a doorknob in their house, but put them on a boat and they want to rub down everything in sight. Pew, pew, pew. So mad.
Exterior, 19th Street Boat Basin, another day. Joe is on his sailboat. He's polishing his brass and whistling.
Joe?
Joe jumps off the boat onto the dock to greet his grandfather's daughter, Annabelle, 8, who's coming toward the dock with Jillian, his father's overdecorated 32-year-old fiancée, her son Matthew, 4, and the nanny, Maureen.
Hello, Annabelle. How are you today?
Great.
Hey, big guy.
Don't I get a hello?
Hello, Jillian.
Kiss me, I'm gonna be your wicked stepmother.
Joe gives her a peck on the cheek.
Who is this?
Oh, Nanny Maureen. I brought her in case you couldn't handle the kids.
Maureen's getting a divorce.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
That's my own fault. Never marry a man who lies.
That is so wise. Remember that, Annabelle.
She taught Matt to spell his name.
Cool. Very.
What was that,
Foxy Fox. I mean,
Excellent, Matt. Good work. You can have the day off. I'll take over from here. You must be late for something. Volunteer work at the Henry Street settlement. Packing bandages for Bosnian refugees. A course in Chinese literature at Columbia.
I am. I'm having my eggs harvested.
Or having your eggs harvested.
Exterior street fair, day. There's a block street fair with little booths, sausage sandwich concessions, etc. Annabelle and Matt have been to the makeup booth. Annabelle is a cat and Matt is a pirate. Annabelle is carrying a goldfish in a baggie as they walk toward Broadway. Exterior Kathleen's store, day. As Joe, Annabelle, and Matt walk past, there's some sort of toy miniature princess in a pointed hat sitting outside the store and a sign lit with twinkle lights. Storybook lady today, 3:30. Interior Kathleen's store, day. Kathleen is sitting on a stool reading to a group of children, including Annabelle and Matt, who are crammed into her store. Joe is watching along with some parents as Kathleen reads from a Roald Dahl book. Interior Kathleen's store later. Matt is sitting on the floor reading a book. Kathleen is showing Annabelle a copy of a book called Betsy Tacy.
This is her best friend, Tacy, whose real name is Anastasia. And then in the book Betsy and Tacy becomes friends with Tib, whose real name, I'm really sorry to tell you, is Thelma.
In another section of the store, George is showing Joe a first edition of Swiss Family Robinson from the glass case.
See, the illustrations are hand tipped, which is why
It costs so much.
it's worth so much.
Joe smiles and turns to see Kathleen and Annabelle at a whole shelf of Betsy Tacy books.
Oh, I want all of them.
That might be an awful lot for your dad to buy you at one time.
My dad gets me all the books I want.
Well, that's very nice of him.
Oh, that's not my dad. That's my nephew.
Oh, I don't really think that that's your nephew.
As Joe approaches,
It's true. Annabelle's my aunt. Aren't you, Aunt Annabelle?
Annabelle nods solemnly.
And Matt is.
Let me guess. Are you his uncle?
No.
His grandfather?
Annabelle and Matt start giggling.
His great grandfather?
Ha, I'm his brother.
Annabelle is my grandfather's daughter, and Matt is my father's son, and we are an American family.
He smiles at Kathleen, who finds herself smiling back. Annabelle suddenly sneezes. Kathleen takes a handkerchief from her sleeve. It's an old-fashioned hanky that's embroidered. She offers it to Annabelle, who instead wipes her nose with her hand and then looks at the handkerchief, a little puzzled.
What was that?
A handkerchief. Oh my. Do children not even know what handkerchiefs are? A handkerchief is Kleenex that you don't throw away. My mother embroidered it for me, you see? The initials, my initials, if you will, and a daisy, because daisies are my favorite flower.
Orchids are my favorite flower.
You know what else children don't know? They don't know what a telephone booth is.
Joe is looking at Kathleen.
Who are you?
Kathleen Kelly, I own this store. And you are?
Joe. Just call me Joe. We'll take these books.
He gets the one Matt is reading, and the two other Kathleen has gotten for Annabelle.
We'll take this.
These are wonderful books. As Annabelle gets older, the characters in the books do too. You can grow up with Betsy.
You're gonna come back again, aren't you?
Of course.
This is why we're never gonna go under. Our customers are loyal.
They're opening a Fox Books around the corner.
Fox Books. My daddy.
Likes to buy at discount. Don't tell anyone that, Annabelle. It's nothing to be proud of.
Fox.
Matt, can you tell me how to spell it?
F-O-K. X.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. You can spell fox. Can you spell dog?
You can spell dog, Matt.
D-O-G.
Matt, look at this.
Can you read your damn line though?
Yeah, and the dinosaur book too.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's not me. Sorry.
Take
Oh
that.
my
Take
God.
that dinosaur
I
book.
lost.
F-O-X.
Oh, F-O-X. Yeah, sorry.
Matt,
There
you
it
like
is.
you like this dinosaur book. Why do you like this dinosaur book? Annabelle, maybe you can read this to Matt while I wrap things up here. Sit down, read, and don't listen to anything I say.
Returns to counter and gives Kathleen some cash.
And dinosaur book too. We'll take that.
Okay, I need a moment. I'm so sorry. Whew. The world is not driven by dinosaurs, believe me. I've been in the business forever. I started helping my mother here after school when I was 6 years old. I used to watch her, and it wasn't that she was just selling books, it's that she was helping people become whoever they were going to turn out to be. When you read a book as a child, it becomes part of your identity in a way that no other reading in your life does. I'm sorry. I just think I've gotten carried away.
You have, and you've made me feel.
He can't finish the sentence. He looks at her and sees behind her on the shelf a picture of a woman who is unmistakably Kathleen's mother, with a young Kathleen.
Enchanting. Your mother was enchanting.
She was. How did you know that?
Lucky guess.
Anyway, well, she left the store to me, and I'm gonna leave it to my daughter.
Oh, how old is your daughter now?
I'm not married. But eventually,
She smiles at Joe.
so Fox Books can.
What the hell?
Yeah. Here you go.
We ready?
Annabelle and Matt join him at the counter. Kathleen gives them each a lollipop.
Bye, Kathleen.
Goodbye, Annabelle, but goodbye, Matt. How about cat? Can you spell cat?
F O X.
Nailed it.
Yay! Interior Auditorium Day. Someplace like the auditorium at the Museum of Broadcasting. Patricia Eden, Joe's girlfriend, who's the editor-in-chief of a New York publishing house called Eden Books, didn't we already meet her, is standing at a podium at a sales conference. In the audience are sales reps, wholesalers, etc. There's a screen behind her with pictures of the authors being flashed on it as she speaks.
And now, the book you've all been waiting for, the book it's been my dreams to publish. The legendary Veronica Grant has written her memoirs.
There's a burst of applause as a photograph of Veronica Grant flashes on screen.
And I'm happy to report it is just crammed with tragedy. Just kidding, but seriously, it's all here. Poverty, addiction, divorce, tracheotomies.
We see pictures of Veronica at 8 with her sharecropper family, Veronica at 14 with her first child, Veronica with a series of husbands, Veronica in a wheelchair, etc.
Her third husband beat her up. Hip replacement and an amazing facelift where all the injected fat fell to her chin.
Now we see a blow-up of the book's jacket with a picture of Veronica on it and the title, Am I Rising from Ashes, or Did I Just Forget the Dust?
This book is fabulous. And even if it weren't, it would sell like crazy because Veronica is going to plug it to death on every talk show in America. This book.
Patricia bursts into tears.
Sorry, I just can't talk about it without crying. Veronica and I have so much in common. Well, not all the sad parts, but we were both famous by the time we were 29, and believe me, that's rough. Anyway, I just want to say that I'm especially thrilled to be publishing it. Veronica lives in my building, and we met in the elevator. By the time we had traveled from the 8th floor to the 1st, we had a deal. First printing 1 million copies.
Everyone applauds enthusiastically. Interior auditorium lobby a short while later. Patricia is leaving, still surrounded by colleagues and sales reps congratulating her. She's the soul of graciousness. Her assistant Sarah comes up.
You have a dentist appointment in 20 minutes, so you should leave soon. What's my car number? Car? You didn't say anything about a car. Are you an idiot? Of course I need a car. God!
He walks toward the exit. Exterior 57th Street continuous. Patricia in the pouring rain trying to hail a cab. She spots one across the street.
Taxi! Taxi! Taxi!
Whistles, a longshoreman's whistle. The cab makes a U-turn, but instead of stopping for Patricia, it stops about 20 feet ahead for a man in an overcoat who gets into it.
Excuse me, what are you doing? This is my taxi cab? Don't take him! I'm telling you right now, I am memorizing your number. Don't take him! Who the fuck do you think you are?
Are you going uptown?
Yes!
Get in, I'll drop you.
Interior taxi a minute later. As the cab turns onto 8th Avenue and starts uptown, Patricia is dialing her cell phone. She's elaborately ignoring the man who stole her cab.
Veronica, it's Patricia. You should have been there. It was unbelievable. Ugh, we're going to sell truckloads of your book. Call me.
She hangs up, folds up the phone, puts it back in her purse as the cab moves on.
Are you an editor?
Yes.
I'm a rabbi.
Oh my God, I said fuck to a rabbi. I'm so sorry.
I hope you don't mind me asking, but are you Jewish?
Yeah?
You should come to our temple.
I'm not really religious.
Oh, I am surprised. You seem like a very religious person.
You're kidding, right?
We are at West End Avenue and 83rd Street. Every Friday night, we have a joyous time. Everyone dancing, everyone singing, also some wisdom. Perhaps you've heard of us. We are known as the Singles Temple.
He smiles at her.
It's a very good place to calm down.
The cab stops.
Oh, look, I'm already here. Very nice to meet you. Take this woman to her destination.
He gets out, closes the door. A beat too late.
Goodbye?
Exterior, Kathleen's apartment, night. Frank comes up the stoop. Interior, Kathleen's apartment, night. Kathleen is dressed up for a party. Frank walks in, looks meaningfully at her.
I saw him. I actually saw him.
Who?
I can't believe it. I saw William Spungen.
I thought he was in Mexico.
Maybe he's in Mexico, but today he's in New York. The most brilliant and reclusive novelist in the history of the world is here, in this neighborhood. He may be living on this very block.
Where did you see him?
I was on the subway,
Interior subway, day.
and this musician got onto the train.
Frank is sitting on the subway reading the Village Voice. The door between the cars opens and a man playing the clarinet enters the car. No one looks up except Frank.
And I suddenly saw him, sitting directly across from me doing the crossword puzzle.
Well, how did you know it was him?
He looked exactly the same as his high school yearbook picture, which happens to be the last photograph ever taken of him.
Frank takes out his billfold on the subway, pulls out a piece of paper. Close up on the folded piece of paper. As Frank unfolds a newspaper clipping of a yearbook picture of William Spungen at 17. Frank compares the photo of Spungen with the person sitting across the way. They don't look remotely alike, except that the boy in the picture and the man on the subway are both wearing the same style glasses. The subway stops at 79th Street, and William Spungen gets off. Frank follows. Exterior Broadway continuous, as Frank comes out of the subway station and looks around.
Background screws me again. So I followed him.
Frank sees Spungen cross 79th. He follows. Exterior H&H Bagels continuous. Frank follows Spungen, who hurries into H&H Bagels, passing a homeless man holding a paper cup at the door.
He went to H&H and bought a bagel with everything.
Exterior H&H Bagels a minute later. As Spungen leaves the store, passing the paper cup, which we now realize that Frank in dark glasses is holding. Spungen drops his newspaper in a garbage container.
Then he went into the sporting goods store and bought tube socks, 6 pairs for $7.99.
We see Frank peeking out at him from behind a stack of running pants. Suddenly, he's distracted by a couple of joggers.
William Spungen and tube socks.
I know. I don't want to dwell on it.
Frank looks back at the counter. Spungen's gone.
And then I lost him.
Interior, Kathleen's apartment that night. Frank waves the crossword puzzle in front of Kathleen.
Do you know what this is worth?
He takes an empty instant frame from the closet, puts the puzzle into it, and sets it next to the typewriters. Interior, Japanese restaurant night as the two of them eat dinner.
What was I thinking when I was trailing him? Was that what I was thinking when I was trailing him was that I would eventually have the courage to say hello to him, not in a horrible or intrusive or slavering fan/acolyte type way, but more like, "Hi, how you doing? Have you ever thought about trading up in the sock area?" Who knows, maybe he's read my work and then we'd become friends, and eventually I'd introduce him to you. You know how much he loves children's books. There's a whole long section in Relativity's Smile about the Wizard of Oz, and then maybe he'd come out of hiding and he could help save the store.
What are you talking about?
From Fox Books, I mean. If things got tough, he could really help rally support.
It's never going to get to that. The store's fine.
Exterior, street night as they walk along after dinner.
I don't even know why you would say that.
Neither do I. It just flew out of my mouth.
There's enough business for all of us.
Interior elevator night as they go up in an elevator.
I mean, we're fine.
You're more than fine. You're absolutely fine.
We're fine.
Elevator opens onto interior Vince Mancini's apartment night. A publication party for an author named Vince Mancini. A mix of book people, journalists, and various other media folk.
Hey, Vince, congratulations. You know Kathleen Kelly. Hey, Vince, congratulations. You know Kathleen Kelly.
How are you?
Guess who I saw in the subway? William Spungen.
I thought he was in New Mexico.
They start chatting. Across the room, Joe is with Patricia, who's telling two other people the story of meeting the rabbi in the taxi cab. Joe looks over and sees Kathleen. He suddenly looks stricken. Shifts his position so Kathleen can't see his face, but sneaks a look.
Would you give me another drink, sweetie? I'm all out. So then, the rabbi says it's a very good place to calm down. Isn't that hysterical?
They all laugh. Joe moves over to the bar.
Absolute on the rocks.
As he's waiting, Kathleen comes up next to him.
A white wine, please. Oh, hello.
Hi.
Remember me from the bookstore?
Oh, of course I remember you.
How's your aunt?
Good. She's good. I have to deliver this. I have a very thirsty date. She's part camel.
Kathleen laughs.
Joe, it's Joe, isn't it?
You're Kathleen.
Joe vanishes into the party. Interior Vince Mancini's apartment night a minute later.
I can't believe you were talking to Joe Fox.
Joe Fox? As in...
She can't
Joe?
even finish the sentence. Interior Vince Mancini's apartment a couple of minutes later. Joe is standing at a table of food, his back to the room.
Fox? Your last name is Fox?
Joe spins around and looks at her.
Fox.
I didn't realize. I didn't know who you...
Who you were with? I didn't know who you were with.
Excuse me?
It's from The Godfather. When the movie producer realizes that Tom Hagen is the emissary of Vito Corleone.
Kathleen is staring at him.
Just before the horse's head ends up in his bed. Never mind.
You were spying on me, weren't you? You probably rented those children.
Why would I spy on you?
I'm your competition, which you would perfectly well, or you would not have put, well, no, or you would not have put up that sign put, like, just around the corner.
The entrance to our store is around the corner. There is no other way to see it. It's not the name of our store, it's where it is. You don't own around the corner.
Next thing you'll be using twinkle fucking lights.
Twinkle lights?
Yes, little fucking white Christmas lights that twinkle. I use them in all of my displays. And if you didn't notice...
Look, the reason I came into your store is that I was spending the day with Annabelle and Matt. I like to buy them presents when I see them because I'm one of those guys who likes to buy his way into the hearts of children who are his relatives. There was only one place to buy children's books in the neighborhood, although that will not always be the case. And it was yours, and it is a charming little bookstore. You probably sell what? $250,000 worth of book a year?
Well, in the movie, it says
Excuse
$350,000 a
me.
year.
Excuse me.
And how do you know that,
I am in the
sir?
book business.
I'm in the book business.
Oh, I see, and we're the Price Club. Only instead of a 10-gallon can of olive oil for $3.99 that won't even fit into your kitchen cabinet, we're selling cheap books. Me, a spy. Absolutely. And I managed to get my hands on a secret printout of the sales figures of a bookstore so inconsequential and yet full of its own virtue that I was instantly compelled to rush over and check it out for fear that it would drive me out of business.
Kathleen stares at him. She's speechless.
What? What?
Kathleen shakes her head. Frank turns up.
Hi, I'm Frank Novatsky.
Joe Fox.
Joe Fox, inventor of the Superstore, enemy of the mid-list novel, destroyer of city books. Tell me something. How do you sleep at night?
Patricia joins them.
Oh, I use a wonderful over-the-counter drug, Ultrasom. It's amazing. Don't take the whole thing, just half, and you will wake up without even the tiniest hangover. You're Frank Novatsky, aren't you?
Yes.
Your last piece in The Independent, oh gosh, the one about Anthony Powell was brilliant. I'm Patricia Eden Books. Joe, this man is the greatest living expert on Julius and Ethel Rosenberg.
And this is Kathleen Kelly.
Kathleen glares at him.
Like my piece. God, I'm flattered. You know, you write these things and you think someone's going to mention them, and the whole week goes by, and then the phone doesn't ring, and then you think, oh God, I'm a fraud, I'm a failure.
You know what's always fascinated me about Julius and Ethel Rosenberg is how old they looked when they were really just our age.
Everyone is stopped dead by this observation and looks at Patricia, who smiles at them all.
I'm so happy to have finally met you. We will talk. Have you ever thought about doing a book?
Oh, sure, it's passed through my head. Something really relevant for today, like the Luddite movement in the 19th century of England.
At the same time,
Patricia.
Frank?
interior Kathleen's bedroom night as Kathleen and Frank get into bed.
I really like Patricia Eden. She's a very nice person.
Kathleen doesn't respond. Frank turns out the light.
She needs educating, that's all.
A beat.
She's hopelessly driven by money and power, but there's hope for anyone who's that familiar with my work.
On Kathleen as she turns away from Frank and lies there, eyes open. Interior Joe's bedroom night as Joe and Patricia get into bed. Brinkley is already on the bed.
I had no idea that Frank Novatsky was so down to earth.
Joe doesn't respond. Patricia turns out the light.
You read his stuff and you think he's going to be so obscure and abstruse.
Beat.
He's always talking about Heidegger and Foucault, and I have no idea what any of it's about, really.
Joe gets up. Brinkley follows.
Where are you going?
I'm not really tired.
Interior Joe's den night. Joe writes on his computer. Brinkley on the floor next to him, and cut between Joe and his computer screen.
Do you ever feel you became the worst version of yourself? That a Pandora's box of all the secret hateful parts, your arrogance, your spite, your condescension, has sprung open? Someone provokes you, and instead of just smiling and moving on, you zing them. Hello, it's me, Mr. Nasty. I'm sure you have no idea what I'm talking about.
Interior Kathleen's computer screen day, and cut between the screen and Kathleen's bedroom as Kathleen reads the end of Joe's letter. Kathleen hits the reply button and starts to type.
I know what you mean, and I'm completely jealous. What happens to me is when I'm provoked is that I get completely tongue-tied. My mind goes just blank. Then I spend all night tossing and turning, trying to think of what I should have said.
Interior Joe's computer screen and Joe's den night as he replies.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if I could pass all my zingers to you, and then I would never have behaved badly, and you could behave badly all the time, and we'd both be happy? On the other hand, I must warn you that when you finally have the pleasure of saying the thing you mean to say, at the moment you mean to say it, remorse inevitably follows. Do you think we should meet?
Interior Kathleen's computer screen and bedroom day. Kathleen stares at Joe's letter in her computer. She's frozen.
Meet? Oh my God.
She sits staring at the letter. She has no idea what to do. Exterior 75th Street in Columbus Day. As the iron gates on all the stores start to open, just the way we saw them open in the opening sequence of the movie. The pharmacy, the optician, the cosmetic supply store, the video store. And now finally we see the new grate on the new Fox Book Superstore start to open upwards. This is the finest grate on Broadway, no question of it. It's electric and almost soundless. We see a sign saying opening day, 35% off on all bestsellers. People on the street notice the store. One walked in, camera follows him. Interior Fox Book Superstore Day. The inside is beautiful. Gleaming staircase, a cafe, comfortable chairs to sit, a bank of cashiers, everyone decked out in gray alligator shirts with a fox where the alligator should be, a rope for the checkout line, 7 cash registers with 7 cashiers. Of course, books, books, as far as the eye can see. Match Dissolve 2, interior same scene later that day. The store is damn packed. Joe with his father Nelson, his grandfather Schuyler, and Kevin, the store manager.
No pickets, no demonstrations.
The neighborhood loves us.
They're wondering where we've been all these years. They're wondering how they ever did without us.
It's a hit. They admire their own store, walk through the downstairs, and start up the staircase to the second floor.
How's the children's book department?
It's early yet, school isn't out, and there's that children's bookstore nearby.
Cecilia's store.
Her daughters.
We'll crush it.
She was enchanting. And as they walk on upstairs, several mothers with children come up the stairs behind them. Exterior Broadway morning. A little group of children dressed as pilgrims walk down the street as Kathleen comes around the corner to buy her morning paper. Joe is at the newsstand. She turns and pretends to be staring at a wall until he finishes buying his paper and walks on.
I don't think it's a good idea for us to meet.
Interior Starbucks, another day. Joe is putting sugar into his coffee at the sugar counter as Kathleen comes in. He pretends he didn't see her.
I love our relationship. There's a lot going on within the day-to-dayness of my life, and there's something magical.
Interior shop around the corner, dusk. We see Kathleen and George at the end of the day counting the receipts. Bertie is using a calculator to total them. Christina is shelving books. There are Thanksgiving decorations, cardboard turkeys and pilgrims, books on colonists like Miles Standish.
And well, it's thrilling about this island in cyberspace that I have with you, so please don't ask me again.
About 12 was less than the same week last year.
That could be a fluke, right?
They look at each other.
Or not.
Their store is new. It's a novelty, but like, it's all gonna shake out. Do you think I should put up more twinkle lights?
That's a lovely idea.
What if we have to fold? I'll never find another part-time job, and I won't be able to pay the rent, and I'll have to move to Brooklyn.
Joy of rent control. 6 rooms for $450 a month.
We know, you've told us a million times. I can't believe
Thanks,
you're bringing it up at a
George.
time like this. It's like
Yeah, seriously, thanks,
because you're-
George.
It's like bragging because you're tall. Bertie never brags about her rent, and she pays even less than you.
10 rooms. I just rattle around from one to the other.
Hey guys, we're not going to fold.
The door opens, and Meredith Carter, the woman George had swooned over in front of his building, walks in. George stares, frozen in place, as she walks up to him.
George Pappas?
Yeah?
Oh, Detective Carter, 23rd Precinct. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Kathleen suddenly sees George following Meredith out of the store. He's in a complete daze.
George, where are you going?
He goes out the door. Laura Margulies, a well-known children's book author, enters as George leaves.
Kathleen, are you surviving?
Laura! Oh, we're so excited about your new book. So when should we schedule your signing?
Oh, it's being published in January. Are you going to be in business in January? I'm so worried.
We're doing great, aren't we?
Great.
Tell me, Birdie, how we doing?
Laura,
We're doing
Laura,
great,
Laura,
right?
Laura, relax. No difference whatsoever. You son of a.
I know. I'm so sorry.
Thank God. Well, you can count on me for anything support, rallies, picket lines. You can get the Times to write something, or that nut in the Independent,
What nut in the Independent?
Frank Navasky. This is just the sort of thing that would outrage him.
She smiles brightly. Interior coffee shop day. George and Meredith are sitting in a booth.
Mr. Boppas, I'm investigating the murder of a woman found on the roof of your building. Do you live alone there?
Do I live alone? Yes, I do. Do you live alone?
Yes.
George takes her hand in his and looks at it as if it were the eighth wonder of the world. He starts stroking it, caressing it. Meredith pulls it away, a beat. Then she gives it right back to him. He continued stroking. They stare at each other. He puts her fingers into his mouth.
Sorry.
What are you doing?
I don't know. I have no idea.
You have to stop.
I can't.
He utters a little moan. Interior George's apartment a short while later. They come into the apartment. She throws herself into his arms. Exterior Riverside Drive Park day. As Christina runs, desperately trying to make eye contact with men running in the opposite direction. No one will look at her. Interior Zabar's cheese department night. The place is mobbed. The usual crush the night before Thanksgiving. Kathleen, pushing a shopping cart, is trying to wedge her way through the crowd in the cheese department. As she reaches across three people to grab some brie, she sees Joe walk into the store. Quickly, she turns her back so he can't see her. She stands there frozen, a beat. Peeks around, doesn't see him anywhere. Cranes her neck this way and that. No Joe. Interior Zabar's cashier area, continuous. Kathleen, now wearing dark glasses but looking not at all disguised, looks around and spots a short line and makes a beeline for it. At that moment, Joe comes from the appetizing department and gets on the line she was heading for. Panicked, Kathleen retreats onto another line and stands with her back to him. Interior, same scene moments later. The cashier totals up Kathleen's purchases and Kathleen hands over her credit card.
Oh, this is the cash only line.
What?
Cash only.
Oh my God. I only have a credit card. Is that okay?
There's a
Okay, of course it's not okay. There's a sign.
sign.
She doesn't have cash. She doesn't have cash is repeated all the way down the line. Joe turns to see what's going on.
Get on
Get
another
on the line,
line.
lady.
Oh, hello. Hello.
Hello?
Do you need some money?
No, I don't need any money. Thank you very much.
Get on another line.
Hi. Rose, great name. Rose, this is Kathleen. I'm Joe, and this is the credit card machine. Happy Thanksgiving.
Rose just stares at him.
Now it's your turn to say Happy Thanksgiving back.
Happy Thanksgiving back.
Joe looks at her, winks.
Mississippi is a hard word to spell. How do you spell it? IT. How do you spell it? IT. Oh no, take this credit card and put it through the machine. Zip zip.
The cashier, completely charmed for some reason, takes Kathleen's credit card. Kathleen is appalled. Everyone on the line signs irritably and audibly.
So you're fine.
Fine.
Happy Thanksgiving.
As Kathleen signs the charge slip and the cashier exasperatedly starts to put her groceries into a bag. Interior Joe's father's apartment, Thanksgiving Day. An elegant East Side apartment. Skylar, his youngest French wife Yvette, Nelson, Gillian, and their child Matt, and Joe are sitting and listening as Annabelle sings Tomorrow.
The sun'll come up tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun.
Joe is on a love seat with Matt. Jillian lifts Matt up, sits down at his place next to Joe, and plunks Matt into her lap. Nelson is already seated in a chair in front of the love seat and can't see her without turning around. As she continues singing, Jillian moves her hand next to Joe's leg. Joe edges away. Looks around the room, sees Nanny Maureen standing behind the couch. He stands, offer her his seat. She sits. Interior Kathleen's living room day. Much more informal Thanksgiving dinner. We see the leftovers on a sideboard near a round table in Kathleen's living room. Kathleen, Frank, Bertie, Christina, George, and George's new girlfriend Meredith, and 2 other friends are standing around the upright piano. Bertie is playing a Christmas song, and everyone is singing. As the singing continues, we cut to exterior Foxbook Superstore, December day. As the Christmas decorations and twinkle lights go into the window, Bertie walks by the store. She stops to look at the customers inside and notices a sign in the window. Book signing January 10th. Best-selling children's author Laura Margulies. There's a picture of Laura Margulies. Exterior shop around the corner, December dusk. Kathleen is in the window decorating a little tree with lovely decorations from a box. 2 people are carrying a tree home. There's the sound of church bells. Kathleen looks up as a couple of people walk past the store, carrying Foxbook shopping bags. Then she unwraps a pair of ruby slipper ornaments, and as she starts to hang them on the tree, we hear the sound of the computer.
This is such an odd Christmas. I find myself missing my mother, who's been dead for 10 years. New York at Christmas is so loaded with all the things that we used to do.
Interior New York State Theater, 1972 day. As young Kathleen, dressed in a little velvet dress, sits in the audience next to her mother watching the ballet.
Going to the Nutcracker.
Exterior Rockefeller Center skating rink, 1972 day.
Ice skating at Rockefeller Center, where I was knocked into a 6-year-old maniac.
A 6-year-old boy knocks into her.
Is this technically me? Because, hey, watch out, bitch.
Me watch out? Why don't you watch out? I'm not sliding around like a baby. You think I come here to skate with babies? Young Kathleen's jaw drops and she stands there tongue-tied.
Well, my first experience as a speechless person.
Her mother skates up and takes her hand. The boy skates off.
I always miss my mother at Christmas, but somehow it's worse this year since I need some advice from her.
And we hear the sound of another computer. Interior Joe's den as he replies to Kathleen.
Beep-doo beep.
Thank you.
Boop.
My mother took me ice skating too.
Exterior Rockefeller Center skating rink day. We see a little boy, young Joe, 8, skate past holding someone's hand.
Although my mother did not skate, the nanny skated.
And we now see Joe's nanny, a young Sonia Henney, who suddenly peels off into a series of triple Lutzes as Joe's mother absently reads a copy of Vogue in the spectator section. Interior Lincoln Center Theater, 1972 day.
And I was in the Nutcracker.
We see the stage now. There's young Joe among the children at the Christmas party.
So is my nanny.
As Joe's nanny number 2 pirouettes past.
Different nanny. By the way, I'm surprised you weren't a writer. Although you probably are a writer and don't know it. Are you a writer and I don't know it?
Interior Joe's apartment, 1972 night. Young Joe at the dinner table with his father. A wide shot of a big room with a huge table and servants. Joe looks very small at the table as he eats his soup.
My mother died when I was 10. I was staying with my father, who was not famous for intimacy and whose way of breaking the news of her death was to tell me she would not be coming to pick me up as usual. It was a car accident, and I don't know where she was going or who she was with, and I assume that I owe her is my tendency to cover almost any emotion with a joke. A useful gift unless you want to know what you're feeling. She was very beautiful. People toss that word around a lot, but my mother was.
The camera moves closer to the dining table. We see that tears are rolling down little Joe's cheeks. Interior Joe's den, night. Joe stops typing. He's surprised to find his eyes watering. A moment of confusion as he cannot believe he has moved himself to tears. shakes his head, shakes the emotion off, starts typing again.
Ancient history. So what kind of advice do you need? Can I help?
Interior, Kathleen's bedroom, day. Kathleen is in bed with her laptop reading Joe's letter. She starts to type a response. Suddenly there's harp arpeggio and an instant message flashes on screen. From NY152.
Beep boop beep.
Close on Kathleen, total shock, on screen as we see the message.
I had a gut feeling you'd be online now.
Interior, Joe's bedroom, day. Joe is in bed with his laptop, and cut back and forth between them and their computer screens as they type instant messages to one another. Possible split screens.
I can give you advice. I'm great at advice.
I don't think you can help.
Is it about love? Please say no.
My business is in trouble. I guess my mother would have something to say.
I'm a brilliant businessman. It's what I do best. What's your business?
No specifics, remember?
Minus specifics, it's hard to help except to say, go to the mattresses.
What?
It's from The Godfather. It means you have to go to war.
Close on Kathleen, looking at the computer.
The Godfather?
She starts to type.
Oh shit. What is it with men and the Godfather?
Is it with the men in the God? The Godfather is the I Ching. The Godfather is the sum of all wisdom. The Godfather is the answer to any question. What should I pack for my summer vacation? Leave the gun, take the cannoli. What day of the week is it? Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday. And the answer to your question is, go to the mattresses.
Camera on Kathleen, considering what he says.
You're at war. It's not personal, it's business. It's not personal, it's business. Recite that to yourself every time you feel you're losing your nerve. I know you worry about being brave. This is your chance. Fight. Fight to the death.
Interior, Joe's apartment, day. Patricia comes in as Joe is waiting for Kathleen's response.
Look what I bought.
Joe types ciao and signs off. Looks up to see Patricia showing him a plexiglass menorah.
I was just passing the store on Columbus Avenue and it caught my eye.
What is it?
A menorah.
It doesn't look like a menorah.
I know. I don't even know what came over me. I don't even celebrate Hanukkah.
Interior, Kathleen's bedroom, day. As Kathleen logs off, Frank comes in.
Oh, Frank, I've decided to go to the mattresses. Do you think it would be a gigantic conflict of interest if you wrote something about us?
Interior, the shop around the corner, day. It's January. The store is more crowded than we've seen it. Frank is there with several copies of The Independent. The phone is ringing off the hook. Christina and George are fielding calls. Bertie is reading Frank's article.
Kelly and her mother, Celia Kelly, have your children. If this precious resource by the cold fox be the Western civilization as we know it, have something even heard as we know it, the and their own